We have our next tier list coming out, and we are going to be going over all of the classic evolutions for each character in Squad Busters. So we're going to be kicking things off with the common characters. Now this is going to be their classic form. So in the classic form with the D tier, we're going with the chicken. Yes, he really only spawns in Cluckling, so he's a little bit better, but I still think he's a D tier with that +1 boot. Again, the boots do matter, but it's not a significant change in order to prioritize getting chicken if you have other options available. So we're throwing chicken in the D tier. In the C tier, I'm going to be putting the goblin here. So the goblin in his second evolution, he does get 6 coins every time you grab him from a chest, which means if you get a fusion goblin, you can get a free 24 coins because you get 6 coins for the first, 6 coins for the second, 6 coins for the third, and then another 6 coins for the fusion. So that's 24 coins that you can get from the goblin. So I think goblin is going to be going in the C tier because he just doubles the amount of coins that he gets from baby form. So I think is a pretty solid option as well. I'm going to go with the trader and probably, honestly, still D tier. He gives health every time he gives you a gem, 15 coins to get 1 gem. I think trader becomes a little bit more value in the super form when he gives you 2 gems, but we'll talk about that in the super tier list video. So if you want to see that tier list, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss when that drops. So the trader in the D tier, I think he's still not super valuable for you. I think there are much better classic options out there. So don't really go with the trader if you don't really have to. In the C tier, we're going to go with Greg. I think Greg probably above the goblin, but it's tricky, right? Because the thing about Greg versus goblins, like Greg in his classic form, he chops the trees twice as fast. So it's going to be interesting, but I think the main difference between Greg and the goblin is goblin, you have to be pulling it from a chest, whereas Greg, the trees will just passively respawn throughout the map. So I think Greg can actually provide you a little bit more value than the goblin does. However, Greg does have 100 damage and 1300 HP, whereas the goblin has 170 damage and 1200 HP. So that's the trade-off between these two specifically, is the goblin will give you more damage, but Greg will help you get more resources. And it really just depends on your strategy. So they're like very close together, but in most cases, I'm picking Greg over the goblin. For Mavis, we have her in the C tier above Greg. I think Mavis in her classic form, she'll get bonus coins every time you fully pick one of the patches. So again, the patches of carrots will come in 4, 6, or 8. And once you fully pick that patch, you'll get bonus coins from every one of those patches. So if you fully pick an 8 patch, you'll get 8 extra bonus coins. Mavis is also a ranged attacker. She throws her carrots, dealing 125 damage with 1300 HP. So she's really solid. The fact that she is like a ranged Greg and can help you get more resources, because again, passively picking those carrots gets extra coins from it. I think Mavis is just the better option in between. If you have Greg in classic form or Mavis in classic form, if Mavis is available, definitely go with Mavis instead. For Primo, Primo's just going to stick in the B tier, but he's top B tier, right? Because in his super form, or his classic form, I should say, he has to buzz 5 foes to do the flying elbow drop. The elbow drop will knock back and stun for a brief moment. So getting the Primo is honestly not a bad option, but I still think he's just kind of middle of the pack. He does have a lot of HP, does 100 damage, and can stun. I think he's pretty solid option, but I do think there are better options that will help you win your games. I would say definitely have a Primo. If you can get Primo Fusion, great. I would say go for 1, but you don't really need more than 1. And there are much better damage dealers that you can focus on getting, which is why I'm putting Primo in the B tier. Heavy's going in the A tier. In his classic form, he's going to be able to heal while standing still and shooting. So he'll heal once that speed shooting starts to ramp up for him. And again, 2300 HP and 200 damage from the heavy. Heavy's going to be a heavy damage dealer, and he's going to be able to heal himself on top of it, which is really solid. So heavy's going in the A tier. Bow increases his damage to monsters to 125% from 100%. So I'm going to put Bow in the top of the B tier. I think Bow is a really solid option, especially in certain modifiers. If you're not in modifiers that introduce monsters into the game mode and you have Primo's a better option. But if you do have monsters like Whack-A-Mole, Gift Critters, or anything like that where creatures are spawning in or more monsters are spawning in, then go with Bow and get at least a fusion of him, so that way you can take those monsters down and capitalize on those extra resources that they're going to drop. So Bow is a really good option as well. And we also have Colt and Shelly. Colt is going to be able to, in his classic form, he gets Bullet Storm by busting 4 foes. So his super will be able to do that. And then Shelly's in her classic form, her super shell, she'll heal a large amount of health after blasting the supercell. So if you don't have healers, I would say go with Shelly. If you're going to be picking healers, then go with Colt, because Shelly will be able to heal herself up after blasting. So if you're not focused on healers, or you don't have any healers in that matchup, then you want to go with the range damage dealer that's going to heal herself, right? So Shelly's a good option there. Overall, I still think Colt's a better option because Shelly has that wide shotgun spread. So if you're not able to connect all those bullets, she's not going to be dealing as much damage as you would be able to get with Colt. Again, the trade-off is Colt does have a little bit less HP, so you kind of have to pick and choose your battles when it comes to those specific units. And then we're going to go with the Barbarian. Barbarian's my guy. He's going in the A tier. He will turn elite also after busting a certain amount of foes. I don't think we know the exact number of foes, but Barbarian, it actually says in the game, turns elite after busting a lot of baddies, which is hilarious. That's actually what it says in game. But anyway, Barbarian A tier, got good damage, decent amount of HP, good all-arounder. Can never hurt to have a good Barbarian in your squad, especially when it goes elite. That's when Barbarian starts to really shine for you. So I'm putting him in the A tier for that. Now we're going to move on to the rares. This one's a little bit harder. Dynamite is clearly D tier, but this time he's top D tier, okay? Because he gets a second stick of Dynamite that comes out. So instead of dealing 80 damage, now he's dealing 160. He does a little bit of splash damage, so he's getting a little bit better. But I think there are much better damage dealers in the game. If you're looking for splash damage, he's really not a terrible option, but I'm passing up on Dynamite nearly every time, so not really worth it there. We're gonna have Pam. I'm gonna put Pam in the top of the C tier. So she was B tier before, but in terms of classic units, the heal station just emits a heal surge when destroyed. Realistically, her healing station is gonna be able to get you up to full health anyway, so it's not really worth it. Like the classic upgrade doesn't really do much for you, so I'm bumping Pam from the back of the B tier down to the C tier just because of that second ability doesn't really get much value for you. So that's why Pam's going in the C tier. We're going to be putting our boy Medic in the B tier. Medic in its classic form will throw stronger heal packs when standing idle, which means he's going to be able to heal up your squad a bit more. So he'll heal passively while you're moving around with your squad, but when you're standing idle, those health increases will actually get stronger. So Medic, I think, is a very solid option. I'm throwing him in the B tier. If you need a healer, I'd say go with Medic. If you do need quick heals, like we talked about in the baby tier list, Pam's still a good option to get that boom quick burst of surge with the healing station. But overall, Medic is definitely your better option in my opinion. Hog Rider. The Hog Rider is going to be a good one. So in his classic form, the turbo will last longer. So we're putting Hog Rider in the A tier. He's going to make your turbo boots last longer. He's going to give you that boost of turbo when you're traveling through grass. Hog Rider is a fantastic option to have. We're also going to go with B. B gets a third B that spawns, that flies around, which is really solid. So B is going to go in the A tier. Having that like just passive chip damage from those bees flying around is absolutely invaluable. Wizard in his classic form, this is when he becomes good. He's going in the A tier, probably right around this area where he's tied with the heavy and B. In my opinion, Wizard in his classic form will allow you to hold 2 spells at once. So you're getting an insane value with the Wizard in his classic form. That is why Wizard goes up from very low tier all the way up into the A tier in the classic form, because having that second spell is super, super important. We're going to be tossing Nita in the A tier as well. Not much changes up until her classic form, but if the bear does get knocked out, the bear will resummon if you still have Nita in your squad. So if you get into a fight and you lose the bear, after a while, the bear will respawn, which I think is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid ability. It doesn't change her much, but it is pretty helpful. Very, very few situations do I find it actually making like a huge game changer difference, but it's still a pretty good ability to have, right? Tank, she's going to be moving up to the A tier, probably right around B. Honestly, pretty interchangeable. The tank in her classic form will be able to have the tank go into overdrive, which is going to increase the attack speed. So that is a very solid ability because the tank does a decent amount of damage as well. So being able to have that just random boost of attack speed every now and then, I don't know the exact duration of when it happens or how long it happens, but having that overdrive is super important. So tank, she was still in the A tier before just because of the ability to, you know, take control of a tank, but now it moves up because it's also going to be able to increase the attack speed occasionally. We have Penny going up into the S tier. That's right, Penny is graduated from the A tier to the S tier. Her classic form gives you the opportunity to find keys from her treasure maps. That's right, you can get a free unit just by finding Penny's treasure map. So not only does she have a good amount of HP, is she the best damage dealer in the game, but now you'll also be able to have the chance to find keys to help build your squad even further. So Penny immediately jumps to S tier when in the classic form. That's just a no-brainer that she's an S tier. If you have Penny unlocked and you're in her classic form, you should be choosing Penny 11 times out of 10. Royale King in the epics. My dude's staying in the D tier. He's just not that good. He allows kings to spawn an extra recruit in the squad. Again, recruits aren't that great. They don't really do much. King has a decent amount of HP, right? He's sitting at 2200 HP, so if you need some HP, then yeah, you can go with the Royale King, like if Barbarian's not in the game or Primo's not in your squad, and Royale King is there, and he's the only epic in your chest, and you need a tank, you can go with him, sure, but there are just way better epics in the game. So Royale King going in the D tier. Battle Healer, we're going to be putting her in the B tier, right behind the Medic. The Battle Healer is pretty solid, so she'll boost the health of the squad by 400, and then she'll also heal the squad every time you open a chest. So not bad. She kind of has that like passive similar healing as Medic, and she'll be able to heal every time you open a chest if she's in your squad. She's got a decent amount of HP, 1800. So not too bad for the Battle Healer, so that's why I'm putting her in the B tier. Honestly, if I'm choosing between Medic and Battle Healer, most times I'm probably still picking Medic just because that passive heal. But if I do want to if I'm low on health and then I see a Battle Healer, like if I'm mid-low on health, Battle Healer comes up, I'm probably picking Battle Healer. So depending on the situation, like if I'm full health and I'm still building my squad, I go with Medic. If I'm weak and Battle Healer shows up, I'm picking Battle Healer. So those are the situations that happens in. Mortis, my guy is going to the B tier. That's right. In his classic form, the revived monsters will be able to turn into bats, which is super helpful because not only do you get the 3 revived monsters, now they're going to turn into bats, which means you have even more units on the field. So Mortis just continuously being able to spawn in puts Mortis top of the B tier, honestly borderline A tier, I think. If you have Mortis available and you don't have like Nita or the chicken, because the chicken spawns in hatchlings, or anything that like spawns in extra units, definitely go with Mortis because he'll be able to help out. You can take over things like the bots in Desert World. You can take over guards. You can take over bowlers and goblin brawlers from the Green World. So those are definitely the things to do. Max, my homie, going in the A tier, bottom of the A tier. Probably actually not bottom, above Colt. He's got 200 damage. So just as much damage as Colt, more HP than Colt, and he's going to be able to activate that speed boost, and once you bust foes, it extends the speed boost duration. So Max, definitely a top tier brawler in the A tier, has a lot of damage, helps you move quicker, which is super important with that speed boost, and you can extend it by busting foes, so every time you bust somebody, that speed boost is going to stay alive and you'll be able to move quicker. So classic form, Max, fantastic. Top of the A tier in terms of range attackers, I think. Definitely go with Max if you have her available. The Witch, we're going to be putting probably right below Max, I think, in the A tier in terms of classics. Like the Witch does spawn in more skeletons, so she'll go from 2 skeletons to 3 skeletons, and they'll just continuously spawn in. But 2 to 3, not that big of a change. But again, having Witch being able to spawn in the skeletons, super helpful. So that's why she's still staying in the A tier. And then of course we have our S tier. I'm honestly putting Archer Queen above Penny, and the Barbarian King. Yeah, they just kind of both go above Penny, you know? Both of them, again, their baby abilities have the ability to boost range and melee respectively. But then the classic form, Barbarian King will occasionally activate Iron Fists, and Archer Queen will occasionally activate Exploding Arrows, which is going to be splash damage and knockback and stun. So Barbarian King is still 3200 HP, most HP in the game. Very solid option, especially if you're building an all-melee squad. Again, you can't really go wrong with these two. If you have more range, go with Archer Queen. You have more melee, go with the Barbarian King. Is what it is. If you just need HP and you're still building most range, go with the Barb King. In their classic forms, always having that knockback and stun. Never a bad thing to have. But that's going to do it for our classic tier list. If you guys want to see that super tier list, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss when that drops. And let me know what you think of this tier list down in the comment section below.